In the winter of 2009, a quiet Pennsylvania town held its breath. At the very edge of that town stood an abandoned house that had been empty for years, a place the locals didn't just avoid, but feared. The rumors suggested that something inside the property didn't belong to this world. To those who lived nearby, the house was an unnatural space, a vacancy that felt occupied by something hostile. But for a college student named Michael, those warnings were a challenge. Along with his friends Eric, Sam, and Julia, he set out to spend a few long nights inside, intent on proving that the stories were nothing more than local superstition. The first 48 hours were uneventful. They explored the dusty rooms and recorded videos, laughing and joking about ghosts as they settled into the silence of the old building. This absolute normality served a purpose. By offering a baseline of safety, the entity inside the house allowed the group to lower their psychological defenses. Everything changed at 2 a.m. on the third night. Michael woke to the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps, a dragging noise passing right outside his bedroom door. He watched a faint shadow move back and forth under the door, but when he threw it open, the hallway was empty. The air felt heavy and unnatural, as if the silence itself had become physical. Across the house, Eric was in the bathroom, brushing his teeth. He caught a glimpse of something in the mirror and froze. Standing right behind his shoulder was a woman with a pale, unnaturally stretched face. Her eyes were solid black pits, and her mouth began to pull open wider than a human jaw should be able to move. Eric ran from the room, nearly collapsing as the others rushed to him. He was shaking, his voice gone, unable to explain the sight that had broken his reality. The group's skepticism died in that bathroom. The entity was no longer a story or a sound in the hall. It was a visible, active presence that had begun its assault. On the fourth night, the atmosphere turned oppressive. A freezing wind swept through the corridors, even though every window and door in the house remained tightly shut. At exactly 3 a.m., Sam heard a low, raspy whisper right next to his ear. It was his own name, spoken with a closeness that felt impossible. As his bedroom door creaked open, two glowing eyes stared at him from the absolute darkness of the hallway. The group scrambled downstairs to escape, but the main door wouldn't budge. It felt as if something on the other side was pulling back, physically anchoring the door shut. They turned to the staircase and found their path blocked. A dark, unnaturally thin figure stood at the bottom of the steps, its red eyes fixed on them as it began to move forward. They spent the rest of the night locked in a single room. From the other side of the walls came the sounds of scratching, heavy running footsteps on the ceiling, and the faint, broken sound of someone sobbing in the dark. The entity had now moved from intimidation to total entrapment. By sealing the exits and flooding the house with noise, it ensured the group felt a suffocating, absolute helplessness. When morning came, the front door finally opened. The group didn't look back. They ran, convinced the nightmare was over the moment they crossed the property line. But the fear didn't stay behind. While the others felt the weight lift, Michael was watched. The tether to the house stretched to follow him. Weeks later, his health failed. He stopped sleeping, haunted by recurring dreams of the old woman, her black eyes never leaving. Then Michael disappeared. His home showed no signs of a struggle or a break-in. He was simply gone. The only thing left behind was a message written on his bedroom wall in a dark, glossy substance. It read, "It's still here." Michael was never found. In the end, the house hadn't just defended its territory. It had successfully claimed a part of the group that ventured inside. In 2015, another family moved into the house. They lasted only 2 nights before fleeing, leaving all their belongings behind. They reported hearing the voices of their own children calling to them at night, even while those same children were sleeping right beside them. The house was eventually sealed permanently, a silent monument at the edge of town. Yet even now, those who have stepped inside report a heavy, quiet sensation that stays with them long after they leave. The true horror of the house isn't what happens while you're inside. It's the realization that once you invite that presence in, it may never leave.